Now, over the past few days, we have talked about kind of a calming period of severe weather. This 100% has now changed, as we have multiple days of severe weather on the way. This is likely to be anything from a damaging tornado threat, strong winds, large to very large hail, and a decent amount of the models such as PivotalWeather and the CSU weather models are predicting somewhat of a widespread outbreak of severe weather. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, hello everybody, my name is Christian and welcome back to Skycast. I will be your host for today. We have a lot to cover, so please make sure to subscribe to the channel to get more weather updates. Like the video, share it with your friends. Let's stay weather aware and let's get right into it. Now, the National Weather Service for today has issued 2 enhanced risks of severe weather through portions of Texas into Oklahoma, as well as a secondary area towards portions of Kansas. This once again is going to be for damaging tornadoes and possibly large to very large hail. With this threat, the north enhanced risk is going to be that tornado area. We do have that 10% hatched risk with the possibility to see an EF2 to an EF5 within 25 miles of a point here. The wind threat is going to be main of concern down here towards the south enhanced. Both areas are going to be see large to very large hail, but the reason that these are enhanced the way they are is because tornado up north, stronger style winds down south, hail both areas. That we do also have the slight risk stretching anywhere from South Dakota all the way down into Texas. Once again, we'll have a possibility for there to be a spin up tornado or two, couple of those strong wind gusts, possibly large to very large hail. Now, one thing that is very good about the development of these style of storms is that we have this little area of rain right here, and this is kind of what we call morning convection. This did move through the area, and this morning convection could very well limit the severe potential of these storms. If one of these storms can produce enough of get into the environment where it can produce somewhat of a supercellular type deal, very large hail up in 3 inches of diameter, a possibility of a strong tornado or two, once again highlighting that EF2 plus, as well as damaging winds in excess of 70 miles an hour, and once again a few tornadoes possible into the central Oklahoma area. You can pause to read the hypnosis here if you like. I do recommend it if you are interested in that. And now we have 2 areas to monitor. Things will be relatively quiet over the next little bit until about 6 in the afternoon. This is Eastern Standard Time, where we have some development over here towards portions of Colorado into Kansas and Nebraska. And that's going to be that little first area of development that we're going to see. You can see 7 o'clock is when you can see they start actually trying to fire up. And this is once again going to be for that enhanced risk in portions of northwest Kansas into portions of Nebraska. And as we continue to move off, these storms continue to develop 11, 12, 1 o'clock. And that's going to be limiting kind of that severe potential as it continues to move into the morning hours. 3, 4, 5 will start moving through out of the enhanced risk into the slight and turn into somewhat of a bow echo segment that can produce those damaging winds. Still very large hail. But while that's going on, back down here towards the south, about midnight, once again kind of a more nocturnal style threat. Down here towards the Lubbock area, we do have a set of storms firing off right here. You can see them start firing off east of Lubbock. This will rapidly intensify about 1, 2 in the morning, and will, once again, this is going to be that main concern for damaging hail, 3 inches in diameter plus is what they're highlighting, as well as that damaging wind gusts for the south risk in particular. But 3, 4, 5, that risk will move in, and then we go into 6 in the morning where we do have another risk in place. National Weather Service highlighting on Friday an enhanced risk of severe weather through portions of Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, and Iowa. A slight risk stretching all the way down to Texas. General thunderstorm for much of the United States. This tornado potential is still relatively strong. 10% hatch possibility of an EF2 to an EF5 plus tornado, which in 25 miles of a point, you do have that other 5%, that 2%, where we're seeing that slight marginal risks. Wind threat not expected to be too wild of a concern. You will have possibility to see damaging gusts in excess of 50 knots or greater. As hail as well, hail-driven, tornado-driven, slight risk stretching all the way down to Texas. Hazardous possibility of a 2-inch in diameter plus. Severe thunderstorms appear likely on Friday, much of the eastern Nebraska, northeast Kansas, northwest Missouri, and Iowa. Continuing southward into parts of the southern plains. Tornadoes being highlighted again, some possibly strong. Large to very large hail and damaging winds will all be possible with this threat. You can pause to read the hypnosis here if you like. It is relatively long, but I do recommend to read it. Now, one thing that I like to highlight with this set of storms, the severe potential up here, right here, the threat, there are two different times kind of to level that out. Down here towards 2, 3 in the morning, you're going to have that Oklahoma threat, while up back here towards like 8, 9, 10 in the afternoon, nighttime hours, you're going to have that north threat. But these storms by 3, 4 in the morning will be moving into the enhanced risk. Now, will this be severe? Unlikely. This is what we're going to be kind of called that morning convection area that we're seeing. Now, I'm not saying that there could not be a severe or two pop-up. I'm just saying that this is not the 100% exact risk that we're seeing for today. Well, we're gonna continue to move through the next little bit, and you can see all that morning convection and stuff pop out through there. But back here, 6, 7, 8 in the afternoon on tomorrow, you have these areas in Nebraska. Just to the west of Iowa, that's going to be that threat for that enhanced risk of severe weather. At 6 o'clock is when those storms expect to fire off. By 7 p.m., 8 p.m., those storms are rapidly going to organize into somewhat of a squall line set of storms, and this is going to be possible for not only a discrete storm to produce a strong tornado, but also an embedded supercell in this line. Once again, though, if we do rewind it all the way back, keep in mind that severe potential could be limited. Not saying it's going to, I'm just saying it is possible for it to be limited on the supercellular development where we do have that morning convection here. So always keep that in mind when you're looking at the weather. 10, 11, and 12, those storms will strengthen off. 1, 2, they will eventually die off. And by 6 in the morning, everything does look like it clears out for the most part for a bad thing on the day 3 risk. National Weather Service has issued an enhanced risk for 4 separate states, anywhere from Missouri into Kansas, Oklahoma, down into portions of Texas. Slight risk stretching for much of the central plains, as well as that marginal risk all the way up from anywhere from portions of Wisconsin, Michigan, into down into Texas, Mexico area. Probabilistic of this being severe is the 30% hazard risk, and I'm not going to say it's going to, but I would not be surprised if this does go moderate. I will get to that in a second. So if you're in the Saturday a risk, keep 100% an eye out. Once again, we'll get to that in just a second. Potentially widespread, strong to severe thunderstorms are expected Saturday into Saturday night. Very strong wording by the Storm Prediction Center. Greatest threat is anticipated across parts of the central southern plains, where very large hail, damaging winds, a few strong tornadoes, all possible, all of those threats being highlighted. A larger area of potential threat will extend from south central Texas northeastward into the Great Lakes. You can see that slight risk of severe weather being highlighted for this. If you want to read this hypnosis, if you haven't read the prior ones, I do recommend that you read this because there is a lot of things being highlighted in this. Now, we are starting to get into uncharted territory with the weather where anything could literally change. It could uptrend, downtrend. So take this with a grain of salt, as I have said before. But as we continue looking at that risk and that risk kind of diminish, we do have areas where we're seeing some smaller rainfall towards the area of where we're seeing that risk of severe weather. And now this could very well help to diminish the severe threat that we're seeing on Saturday. But as you can look and see over the next few runs, this is not as strong whatsoever as what we were seeing at the other. This could very well stop a little bit of the severe potential, but overall this could wind up being somewhat of a bigger weather threat. By 11-12, storms likely expected to fire off in the Oklahoma area. That main concern, though, is going to be later on into the afternoon. You can see storms start firing up here, and this is the last one that we have. So once again, this event on Saturday is still very well likely possible to change. This is look like it could be somewhat of a more nocturnal style event, though, and like I said, I would not be surprised if this gets upgraded to a moderate, as they're still, but it could always stay enhanced as they're continuing to iron things out. Like I said just a few seconds ago, this is still likely to be edited and fired out and all that. But keep in mind, the 3 days on the National Weather Service is not the only days that we're looking at for severe weather. National Weather Service has highlighted a 15% slight confidence of severe weather anywhere through portions of Wisconsin down into Texas. This could be another widespread style event. You can pause to read the severe weather discussion right here for day 4. There is currently nothing listed for day 5 or day 6, although if you want to read the discussion here, I do recommend you do that as well. Now, another model that us weather people like to use is the CSU model. This is the Colorado State University weather forecast model. This is not 100%, so take this with a grain of salt. But this model itself is also predicting somewhat of a higher scale event for Saturday, anywhere through portions of Oklahoma up into portions of Iowa. 15% tornado threat. Here's what this area is highlighting. As well as that, 15%, 30% for hail, as well as some significance for wind with that 30% as well. So we could see a lot of this risk be shifted around and all that, as well as could be upgraded, although nothing is 100% confirmed, as things like I've said are still being ironed out, just to make sure that we get this risk 100% right. Now, with the storm development here in the first enhanced risk that we're seeing, we do have a good amount of shear available for there to be some storm development. Now, that's not saying that the shear itself is not the only factor that goes into storm development. Keep that in mind. That's just saying that we do have a possibility for that, a good amount of that shear there. As we get into day 3, though, day 3 does have a higher amount of that low-level shear. You can see it right here. That red area, if we move to the next run there, you can see it again just shifted a little further east. So that's why we're seeing that to be more of a bigger style event, because not only are we seeing less of that morning convection, but we're seeing as well as that higher shear level model, and eventually that will just move off. And then we have the day 4 shear level back here that can possibly bring some more of that severe threat there as well. So if you're in the watch area, make sure you guys prepare. Don't be scared. Just make sure you have a way to receive alerts on your phone, a wireless alert system, things like that. Thank you for watching Skycast. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day and stay safe.